Wanda, good morning to you. So, first and foremost, the death toll rising to 70. How devastating is this for provincial authorities there?
Good morning, Koli. Definitely didn't sit well with them at the fact that the death toll has risen and is around the 70 mark. And as a matter of fact, the acting premier said there that more figures or revised statistics will be released during the course of the day. And one can expect that number to increase as MECs continue to go to the various areas and visit families that have been affected. So once they go to other areas, because he mentioned the fact that the areas that were affected the most were eThekwini, Ugu, King Tsejayo and Herigwala. Now, the officials are going around through all those areas and finding out exactly who has been affected and how. And once they've completed their tour visiting families, we may as well expect those numbers to increase, which will be catastrophic, because no one really expected that the loss of life would amount to the numbers that we're seeing. In fact, any loss of life is not something that anyone would want to see. But unfortunately, that's how powerful and deadly these floods have turned out to be.
Mawanda, one of the key questions that journalists were asking the acting premier there was the issue of the storm water drainage system, and lots of criticism, in particular where you were yesterday in Amanzimtoti. How did the acting premier respond to this?
Well, the first thing which for me, Koli, was taking accountability, is saying that yes, we acknowledge that there are issues, and he spoke about the fact that what this means now is that we need to wake up and make sure that municipalities fix their stormwater drainage systems to ensure that such a catastrophe does not happen again. I mean, he can't obviously look at making sure that floods do not occur and heavy rains do not occur, but with issues around stormwater drainage systems, it just further compounds the issue. But if those things did not exist in terms of the problems, then, you know, the management of these things would be much simpler and much easier. So the first thing there was that we acknowledge and we need to make sure that we improve. However, I did say that the blame cannot be solely put on municipalities, because you cannot avert a flood. It's a force of nature. It's an unforeseen circumstance, and it is seen as an act of God. So therefore, we cannot attribute the blame to government. But yes, the issues around drainage systems did play a part. As we heard in Manzimtoti, as you've rightfully said, the residents in that area complained about the stormwater drainage system, which I also witnessed myself at the fact that it was clogged. When a camera was put into the ground, the camera did see that there's a clog somewhere along the line. And when I left, they were still working on fixing the issue, and I think it has been fixed. But many may say it's a little bit too late now.
All right, Mawanda, just very briefly, of course, there is the worrying factor now of disease breaking out, things like cholera, which we saw in Mozambique after those floods there. How are provincial authorities responding or saying that they're going to make sure that this doesn't happen here in South Africa?
Well, what the acting premier said is that mop-up operations should be finalized and completed by the end of this week. Now, before the weekend, I think we are left with about 1 day if we exclude the weekend. However, he said that they are working hard to ensure that mop-up operations are completed as soon as possible, because outbreaks such as the ones that you've mentioned of cholera and the likes are something that could evidently come to play here. And we know that the most impoverished are also found in some of the areas affected, and they would be the most affected by such outbreaks. But the provincial government is working hard to ensure that we don't have any further calamities. So we would hope that mop-up operations do get completed quite quickly. But on the bright side is the fact that the sun has come out. So we would say that maybe the rains have stopped for now, and also that the water will dry out in other areas. When I went to the Amanzimtoti, there was no sign or any trace of water, and the soil along with the sand was starting to dry out. So hopefully that is what we'll see in other areas as well. But some areas are still waterlogged, and hopefully that will be sorted by the end of this week.
I want to cast one live for us at the Durban Country Club.